we remember the 1990s as a decade of dynasties. The end of the 49ers, the beginning of the Cowboys, a repeat by the Broncos. But that version of history is wrong. In the 1990s, the best team didn't always win. Championships swung on fluke plays and coaching blunders that eliminated the best teams. So, today we are fixing the timeline. For every season of the 90s, we are naming the team that should have won the Super Bowl. Not based on nostalgia, but based on who was truly the best. 1990. The Giants may have won the Super Bowl, but let's be honest. They weren't the best team in football. That title belonged to the San Francisco 49ers. They were chasing the NFL's first ever three-peat. They had the league MVP in Joe Montana, the best receiver in history, and a defense that allowed the second fewest points. And they had the NFC Championship game won. With under 3 minutes left, San Francisco had the ball and the lead. All the 49ers had to do was hold on to the football. Instead, Roger Craig fumbles. The Giants recover, kick the field goal, and steal the game. That's not dominance, that's survival. The 49ers didn't lose the torch in 1990, they dropped it, and with it a three-peat that was right in front of them. 1991. 91 is the exception. The Washington Redskins were inevitable. They had the league's best offense and the second best defense. They didn't just beat teams, they ended games by halftime. They blew through the playoffs, with wins by 17, 31, and crushed the Bills in the Super Bowl. It wasn't even close. There is no what if here. History got this one exactly right. 1992. History says that the Cowboys dynasty started in 92. Reality says they got lucky. San Francisco was still the superior team. They had the number one offense and home field advantage in the NFC Championship game. But the game turned into a mess, more than just the muddy field. A questionable holding call wiped out a long Jerry Rice touchdown. A muff punt gave Dallas 3 free points, and the 49ers had a missed field goal on top of that, all of which handed Dallas a lead they never should have had. This wasn't Dallas asserting control, it was a game flipped by chaos. But make no mistake, the 1992 49ers were the league's best team. 1993. By 93, there was no argument. The Cowboys had arrived. The Aikman, Irvin, Emmett trio was unstoppable. Their defense was elite, and their playoff run was surgical. The NFC was far stronger than the AFC at this point, so Dallas cruised to another ring. This one, fully earned. 1994. Steve Young won MVP. Deion Sanders won Defensive Player of the Year. Along with Jerry Rice, they had 3 of the top 4 players in MVP voting. To put their dominance in perspective, the gap between the amount of points they scored and the number 2 team, Dallas, was about the same as Dallas and the 13th best team. They were that far ahead. The best team in football rightfully blew out the Chargers in the Super Bowl. 1995. People assume the Cowboys were the best team in football because they cemented their dynasty with a 3rd ring, but they weren't. The real story of 1995 starts before the playoffs even began. San Francisco finished as the 2 seed behind Dallas, but they were not the second best team in the NFC. Steve Young missed 5 games during the regular season, including 2 losses where the 49ers scored just 7 points against 2 bad teams in the Saints and Panthers. When Young did play, San Francisco went 8-3, and 2 of those losses came on missed game-winning field goals. Flip any one of those moments and San Francisco becomes the 1 seed, and that changes everything. Instead of drawing Green Bay in the divisional round, the 49ers would have played Philadelphia, a team that simply didn't match their talent level. And Dallas would have faced Green Bay, a matchup they already won decisively that postseason. That sets up the game everyone knew was coming. San Francisco hosting Dallas in the NFC Championship game. We already saw how that matchup went. The 49ers were superior to Dallas and proved it with a dominant 38-20 win in Dallas without Steve Young. On the corrected timeline, the best team in the NFC rides the 1 seed to another Super Bowl. 1996. By 1996, the balance of power had finally shifted. The Green Bay Packers had the league MVP in Brett Favre, the number 1 offense, and the number 1 defense. When Green Bay destroyed San Francisco in the playoffs, it marked the true end of the 49ers-Cowboys era. The Packers were faster, deeper, and more complete. They didn't need the game to break their way, they made it break. This wasn't a fluke championship, this was dominance and the rightful champions in 96. 1997. John Elway finally got his ring, and it's a great story. But the Denver Broncos weren't even the best team in the AFC, or even their own division. That was the Kansas City Chiefs. They had the best defense, a 13-3 record, and home field advantage. And they had found a spark with backup quarterback Rich Gannon. With Gannon under center, the offense immediately improved. More points, a 5-1 record, and a win over Denver. But then, the coaching staff panicked. When the playoffs started with the division round against Denver, they benched the hot hand for the starter Elvis Grbac. It killed their momentum instantly. The offense stalled. They only scored 10 points, and Denver escaped with a win they probably shouldn't have had. This wasn't a talent problem, it was a decision problem. The 1997 Gannon-led Chiefs belong in the history books, not John Elway. 1998. The Broncos repeated in 98, but let's be serious. The Minnesota Vikings are playing on a completely different level. They went 15-1, scored a record number of points with the Cunningham, Carter, and rookie Randy Moss trio, and had the NFC Championship game in the bag. But then, Gary Anderson, a kicker who had not missed a single kick in 2 years, missed a 38-yard chip shot that would have put Minnesota up 2 scores in the final minutes of the game. If that kick had gone through, the Vikings would have entered the Super Bowl as clear favorites against a Broncos defense that allowed the 5th most passing touchdowns. The best team of the decade didn't lose to an opponent. They lost to one of the biggest postseason flukes in NFL history. 1999. The St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf. This was an offense that broke football with Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, and Orlando Pace. They didn't sneak into the history books, they kicked the door down. This is exactly how the decade should have ended, with zero debate about who was the king. A decade of dynasties? Sure. But the truth is, the NFL doesn't always reward greatness. It doesn't crown the best team, it crowns the team that survives. So who do you think got robbed of a ring in the 90s? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you want more deep dive breakdowns like this one.